Hello class, and welcome to video number 2. The purpose of this video is to summarize a very little bit of what we cover in chapter 1. If you were in my in-person class, we would have touched on some of these topics in the lecture. But since all you get is this ridiculously unattractive video of me made in my tiny little home office, I'll do the best I can to convey what I think is important about chapter 1. First of all, the most important thing to understand about law, and it's not necessarily covered in the chapter, is what exactly law is. The difference between law and general ideas of what's right and wrong is that law is a set of rules that are enforceable. What that means is that if one of those rules is broken, the law provides an absolute remedy to the person who has suffered. The important thing to understand is that when a law is broken and a person is put in a place where they have lost something. If, for example, I lose money because there was a problem related to my business, or if I am injured because of an accident, or I am harmed because of the actions of another person, that means that I have lost something. The remedy that law puts into place is an effort to make me whole again as I was prior to the loss. Sometimes we can absolutely make the person whole again by giving them exactly what it was that they lost. For example, you are supposed to deliver apples to my market. If the apples are not there at the right time, I need apples to come at a different time to replace the loss I suffered from the lack of delivery. Unfortunately, it's not always easy to put a person back to where they were before an injury or before a loss. For example, the loss of a person's life. Unfortunately, we have not been able to find a way to replace the person that we have lost. So we look for something that can reimburse or remedy the person who is now lacking something. Typically, and in almost all circumstances, what we use to fill that void is money. And it's a very complex calculation determining how we figure out how much money will make up for a particular loss. If you just remember that law is looking for a remedy for loss, you will be able to understand a good chunk of everything we cover in this class. Another important concept for you to understand is the difference between civil law and criminal law. When we talk about civil law, which is what we do in almost all of business law, we touch a little bit on criminal law, but civil law is what the bulk of business cases are about. It's when a wrong is done between people. One person has wronged another person. And the case, if there is a case, is between those people. It could be one person against another person. It could be one person against a group of people. Or it could even be companies or corporations. And for these purposes, we consider them people when we talk about civil law. When we talk about criminal law, we are talking about a wrong that is done by someone against society. If I commit a crime, I commit it against everyone. And the people that want to punish me for my crime are the governments. The governments of the state, the federal government, the local government. When we talk about crime, we talk about guilt or not guilt. Guilty or not guilty. We don't talk about guilt when it comes into civil law. In civil law, we talk about responsibility, liability, responsibility, financial responsibility. We never talk about guilt when it concerns civil law. Important terminology you need to get from this chapter are the very, very basics of understanding cases. Plaintiff, defendant, court, ruling, judgment, judge, appeals. These are the basic concepts and vocabulary that you need from chapter 1. If you've been able to understand that, you are in a great place to start, and a good foundation will help you understand the rest of the chapters. Thank you very much. Be back again with you soon.